Hi, it's Neil, Natural Juice Junkie, and I'm here with 4 different juicers right now. So I've got the Novis Vita Centrifugal juicer, which incidentally doesn't come with a jug, so I've had to find a different jug for it. The Sage Professional juicer. The Optimum 600, which I've been using now for about a year and a half, something like that, maybe slightly longer, as my daily juicer at home. Love this machine. And I've got the new Optimum 700 here as well. And what I thought I'd do is show you an example of these juicers basically making the same juice, so you can get some differences. But before I do that, let me just show you one difference that's going to be obvious immediately. See, when I turn these juicers on, in fact, let me start at this end. Let me start with the Optimum 700. It's quiet. Let me add the Optimum 600. It's still relatively quiet. Now let me turn on the Sage. It just got a little bit loud in here, and I'm having a shout of it. And if I add the Novis to this as well, it's rather loud in this room. So let me just turn the machines back off. And you can hear how long it's taking the Sage in particular to stop there, because of the speed at which that centrifuge is running inside, which gives us a lot of noise, Now, to be fair to the Novis Vita, by comparison, it's actually relatively quiet. You know, it's louder than these two, but it's still relatively quiet. But let's put some ingredients through them. And one of the biggest things I've seen that shows a really marked difference between centrifugal juices and cold press or masticated juices is when you make a tomato juice. So let's do that right now. Let's grab some tomatoes. And interestingly, even though this is a centrifugal juicer, and so it should have a wide feed, I can't actually get that tomato in there without chopping it up. So first thing I'm going to have to do for this particular juicer is get myself a chopping board and a knife. And actually, while that one's still going, because it's nice and quiet and I can keep talking, let me also do the Optimum 700. And so I just drop these into this front chute here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, because these are slow juicers, they're obviously going to take a little bit more time to actually crush that produce. But also I can see immediately looking at them that there's very dry looking pulp, whereas if I can look in the bin in the back of this one, it looks very kind of wet and mushy. And with the Novis Vita, I can't actually see the waste bin, so it's actually here in the body of the juicer. Okay, so I think the 600 is finished. The 700 still has waste coming out, so that means it's still juicing. So we just wait for that to finish. And while we're doing that, actually, let me just grab some glasses. Okay, I think we're done. So let's close the taps on those that have them. That's up already. Now, with the Sage, there is actually like a rubber piece that goes on the front. You can flip around to stop it dripping, but it doesn't work with the jug. So unfortunately, that one may drip, but let's start pouring them out. So first of all, the Novis Vita. It's a bit kind of foamy and very light in colour. Very light in colour. Let's go with the Sage. Let's lift that off. Is there any more in there, or is that just foam? Could maybe squeeze a tiny bit out, but it's mainly just foam in the bottom of there. Let's go to the Optimum 600. And the Optimum 700. And what you can probably notice immediately is a difference in colour. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave them for just for a couple of minutes. So you can see that actually the ones from the centrifugal juicers, in fact, it's happening already. The juice is starting to separate. In fact, after no time at all, you can see a significant difference where the two cold press masticating juicers, the Optimum 600 and the Optimum 700, have got a deep red colour to them. Whereas these two centrifugal juicers have gone like a clear liquid with just a slight froth on the top. And that's because of the oxidization that's been involved in the production of the juice. The fast spinning discs, the fast spinning centrifuges inside these juices, it's where you can see the difference in terms of the nutrient quality that's being extracted and the impact that centrifuge is having. Now, on the plus side, these juices are really quick and easy to use, especially this one. I mean, I'm going to be honest and say that the Novis Vita, because of that small feed chute, and because of the internal bin, you know, if you were making a lot of juice, you'd have to strip this machine down in between, you know, after you've made relatively small portions to clean it out. Whereas at least with the Sage, you can just take the bin off the back, empty the bin, and with these two, you can just take the jug away at the front. So I think of the two centrifugals, at the moment, I'm going with this one. I'm going with the Sage. I haven't drunk the juices yet though, so we shall see. But you know, from the experience I've had so far, I would say the Sage is definitely preferable. But I think I'm still with I'd rather use a cold press juicer. I don't think this has convinced me. And I'm gonna be honest, I started off with a Philips juicer that was a centrifugal juicer. It was the first one I had. And I had it for probably a couple of years before I actually upgraded to another machine. And I recently used that again as well. And it's a machine that's been discontinued now. It's a great machine. And I was surprised by just how wet the pulp was. I'd forgotten how wet the pulp was. I'd forgotten how quickly the juice separated. And this is kind of reminding me again of that same point. So, you know, out of the two, I'd go with the Sage, but out of the four, I'm down this end of the table. And I've got a little bit of a mixed opinion here because I've got a lot of loyalty to the Optimum 600. I've been using it very well, very successfully at home for like a year and a half. And I've been using it in lots of workshops and road shows and live events. But the new 700, it's got a few nice features that I think it maybe just slightly pips the post. In terms of, you know, having these two different feed chutes and things like that. Now let me try the juices anyway. So the Novis Vita. It's okay. It's okay. It tasted tomatoes, which is what it's supposed to do. The Sage. The Sage actually has got less flavour in it. I would say of those two, you get more of a tomatoey twang coming from the Novis Vita. Maybe it's because it, you know, I don't know, because it's not quite as loud. I think its centrifuge is running slower. And so maybe that's the difference. Maybe that's just getting a little bit more flavour out as a result. Let's try the Optimum 600. Can really taste the tomatoes in that. Much stronger, deeper kind of flavour than these two. And then let's try the 700. I'd actually say that's better again. That's better again. And one of the key differences actually is the 700's got an even slower motor in it. So it's going to be squeezing that produce, you know, at a lower rate. So as a result, it's going to be getting, you know, more juice out and more to the point, more flavour and more nutrients out. So I think out of the two, the 700's probably just got my vote, but it's close. Out of these two, it'd be the Sage, but like I say, if I was, yeah, unless my number one priority is speed, I'm going this end. And truthfully, unless I'm running like a high volume juice bar where I've got, you know, if I've got people coming in and they want juices like this, like this, like this, and they're lined up the whole day, then I might still go with the centrifugal juicer. But if it's for me and it's at home, the speed difference isn't so significant that I'd be pulled back this way. I'm staying over here. And yeah, I think this is probably my new weapon of choice.